Hey, I'm Kelly, and welcome to the whole podcast, KC. Thanks for tuning in and hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everyone, it's Kelly with the whole podcast, KC.
Hi, everyone. This is Haley with the whole podcast as well.
And today we're going to do it a little bit different. Instead of having our normal podcast, we're going to do hot topics today. So we're going to start off here with dating apps
Yeah.
and for people who have disabilities.
Yeah. So, okay. So for everybody who doesn't know, I have a visual impairment. And so I struggle a lot with seeing people's faces and seeing like printed word like on this piece of paper. And so for dating apps, it's a little tricky.
Hmm.
And I think that's across the board for most disabilities, correct? Would you assume
Yes.
that as well?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, what kind of things do you struggle with, Kelly, on that?
Oh gosh, I think for me, I think the initial beginning stages of, putting together your resume, your profile, whatever, and just kind of knowing how to put yourself out there without turning away someone, I
Right.
guess, is kind of the initial thing for me.
Right. Um, in your dating apps, do you put that you are a person who's in a wheelchair, or do your pictures show that, or how do you navigate that?
I I don't want to seem like I'm trying to just ignore my disability, but I myself, I don't usually put that in there until I start talking with them mid like the first conversation, I guess.
Yeah. It's
How
so
do you do
tough.
that?
It's tough because, if I take a picture, I have to make sure I'm looking in the right way and
Mhm.
looking, where I can't see very well to take the picture. And then people just assume that I'm not vision impaired. And so on my profile, I do put that I am vision
Good.
impaired and I
Mhm.
share a little bit about what that means.
Mhm.
But it's hard because then you get a lot of comments about, "Oh, you don't look like you're vision impaired." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"I
Mhm.
am, I promise
Yeah.
you. I just walked into that wall," you know? So it just I'm pretty upfront with it because it's really
Mhm.
hard to explain it after the fact sometimes, I feel like.
Right, yeah, just kind of an initial
Yeah.
phase, get it all out there,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
it's such a tough situation because you're judged on so many things so quickly.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not, "Hey, get to know me and then judge for yourself." It's like based off of looks, you know?
Mhm. Right.
You get that vibe too?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess maybe in my profiles, I should put more of my pictures out there displaying my disability.
I mean, it's really a
Perhaps,
personal
yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
I feel like, why do we have to be pushed into showing all of this
All
stuff
those
that like our disability isn't who we
you are.
are?
Right,
It's just a
right.
part of us, you know?
Mhm, for sure.
So it's tricky.
Yeah.
Mm.
What do you do or how do you prepare for that
Like
first
going
date?
on a date?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a tricky
That's
question.
yeah.
I usually okay, so, like, I don't drive, right? So I have
Mhm.
to catch an Uber or go to somewhere within walking distance. I'm not always comfortable with somebody coming and picking me up.
Mhm.
Even though I live in an apartment complex, I don't want them to know what a apartment complex, right?
Oh, yes. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I have to choose places that I know of. I know like easy ways to get out of the place if I need to. I know the staff a little bit maybe if I can manage that. Just because you never know what's gonna happen. You just
Mhm.
can't
You never
predict it
know.
all.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if I don't know the place, I'll go ahead of time, like a couple days before, and just kind of scope out the situation.
Mhm.
But, that's tricky too, because again, I don't drive. So catching
Mhm.
an Uber, figuring out how to walk there, all that stuff. It's just so much for
Mhm.
just trying to go on a date.
So much to navigate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
definitely with me letting someone know, where I'm going.
yeah.
Obviously, like a public place is the number one thing for the first date for sure.
Yes.
Other people around. Um,
100%.
yeah.
Do you, do you, share your location with, like, friends or something? Just be like, "Hey, I'm going on a date. This is the guy. This is what's going on." Do you do that?
I I no, I haven't really done well, I think I've just mainly told my mom
Yeah.
where I'm going, but it'd probably be wise to, if you have that group that you can relay that stuff to, just the more the merrier to
Right.
be aware of,
You're
so
like, "I usually don't let you guys track me, but track me now."
this this one exception, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually tell my sister or something because she doesn't live too far away from here, so
Mhm.
but
Awesome.
it's curious, all the things that we have to go through. I wonder if guys go through that. Huh,
Yeah,
that's an interesting thought. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm, curious
yeah.
the things we do. So, what else do you do to prepare for a first date? Do you, like, how do you know what clothes you wanna wear? Do you base it off of where you wanna go, all that kinda stuff, what the guy's profile is showing? Because I can't always see those
Oh,
things,
mhm,
and
mhm.
so I don't always know what to wear, and it's hard because when you're vision impaired, sometimes it's like, what shoes? Where are my shoes?
Mhm,
What
right.
shoes do I wanna wear? Where'd they go?
What activities are we gonna be doing,
Yeah.
Could it change? Could we start out somewhere and end up at a totally
Yes.
brand new location that I wasn't prepared
Mhm.
for?
And do
Mhm,
I wanna get in a car with, somebody I don't know? Do I trust their driving skills?
mhm,
How much vision am I gonna have to use for this, date? And I don't wanna seem incapable, but,
uh-huh,
you get tired after a while.
right, uh-huh, yeah,
So, oh, yeah, it's interesting, but sometimes those are the best first dates, you know?
mhm, right, yeah, yeah, I
So,
know. I went on a first date with a guy, and I was probably a little too, like, not guarded because, um, we we started at one place, and then he was like, "Let's check out this." I think it was like an airplane museum or something, and
mm,
he was like, "We can just get in my car, so we don't have to take 2 cars," and
mhm.
I did. Um,
It's accessible for you?
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, um, I can't remember what vehicle it was, um, but yeah, I probably may have, made a different choice since it was, our first date,
Mhm.
so but yeah,
Yeah.
it turned out fine though, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was in a public setting, so that's good.
mhm,
Good. Yeah, no, it was, there have been so many first dates, but, there's one time I didn't know what to do or anything anymore, like, come up with a date idea. I felt like I had to come up with the date idea, and so I
mhm.
was like, "Why don't we just walk around Kansas City?" And that was one of the first date it was broad daylight, everybody was around, and I,
That's a good idea.
just kind of was like, "Let's just go look at a coffee shop or something."
Mhm,
And so that was kinda good, and, then they could see, like, this is vision impairment, this is what it looks like on a daily situation, and, it was kinda nice.
mhm,
Yeah, and I got to see how that person interacted with me with my
mhm,
disability, and it didn't vibe w he wasn't rude, he just wasn't, open-minded yet about things like that.
mhm.
It's, hard to explain to somebody who's never dealt with it, so
Right, yeah.
yeah. So what do you do about, like, getting ready for your day? Do you put on makeup? How does that work?
I do when I get the when I get the energy.
Makeup is
Um,
so hard. Why?
I have one of those, like, long rectangular mirrors,
Yeah, yeah.
um, that, just gives you a good view and, yeah, I just have all my stuff lined up and
Yeah.
good to go. How about you? How do you process?
Yeah, very difficult and slow.
Mhm.
I do a lot with my fingers. Make sure I like blend enough because that's the biggest concern. I can't always tell if I blend
Oh,
enough
blend
of
up.
my makeup, you know.
Mhm.
So for those who don't know about makeup, if you don't blend in your foundation or anything like that, you could have like a harsh line, or if your blush isn't blended in properly, you look like one of those dolls that have
Oh,
those.
the little
Yeah.
circle.
Yep. So for me, I do a lot of like making sure I'm blending it and making sure I'm over blending it because you can never blend it too much.
Mhm.
But it's really hard because you have to be so precise with like certain eyeliner tricks, or
Right.
like if you want to do a wing, how do you
Mhm.
do that when you're vision impaired? Well,
Uh-huh.
you use a lot of magnification mirrors.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and make sure you have enough time, like extra time. You don't do that when you're about to be late and you need to go be somewhere.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, makeup is tricky for me. I never know if I'm doing it right. So,
Uh-huh.
please just tell me.
Mirrors are great, though.
Mhm, especially the magnifier ones with the bright lights. Have you tried
Mhm.
those before?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the little mirrors that have lights on the side. Uh-huh.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Now
Those
they
are
make like a portable one, so that's super easy for when I go visit family or something.
Mhm.
Like, do I wanna go through all the stress of putting on makeup and not having my setup at
Set
home?
up. Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. And then I don't know much about makeup, so I always have to go to, like, Sephora or
Oh, yeah,
Ulta.
me too.
Yeah.
Get the
I'm
scoop
like,
on the trends and everything. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, "Help me. I can't see enough to pick out the items. Can you
Mhm.
tell me what would go right with my skin tone color? Because 'Cause I'm not really good at picking out the foundation colors or the blush colors,
Me either. Don't worry.
right? Like, that's a very specialized skill, I feel like, and if
Mhm.
you're not doing it every day,
Mhm.
you just need to go to the experts.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, I think if it's all right with you, we're gonna go ahead and take a break,
Yep.
and then we'll
Sounds
come
great.
back in a few minutes, and, we'll just pick up from there.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Life can present challenges, but the whole person believes in turning challenges into triumphs. Our staff is trained to provide compassionate, personalized care that enhances the lives of our consumers, enabling them to live independently and with dignity. The whole person believes in the power of human connection. Our staff extends their reach into vibrant communities, fostering connections and creating moments of joy for every consumer we serve. Whether that's through peer support groups, adaptive sports, employment services, or non-emergency medical transportation, our staff provides exceptional care and become trusted companions and confidants. Your donation will help us continue to expand our programs and services to help people with disabilities remain independent and living in their home. Consider giving a gift today. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. It's Kelly with the whole podcast, KC.
Hi, everyone, it's Haley Korf.
So, we're going to come back to our hot topics here. Now, we're going to go to traveling and preparing that whole process um, with the airport.
Oh,
So,
boy.
what is your experience with that, and what is your process?
That's a fun one. Let's see. Okay, so for those who don't know, when you have a vision impairment and I don't look vision impaired, that's considered an invisible disability, right? So when I go to the airport or anything like that where I need help, maybe
Mhm.
I have to use my cane. I cannot travel comfortably without using my cane.
Mhm.
So I always make sure that I have that easily accessible. I can put it in my back pocket if I need to. Um, but for traveling, it's it's so scary. But the first thing I say is, when you're vision impaired, sometimes you have to be really, really organized. And so
Mhm.
I have to pack my bag really well.
Wow.
And I'm learning. That is not something I have a talent in.
Uh-huh.
I know that a lot of people who are vision impaired will use those packing cubes to
Mhm,
help
mhm.
kind of organize, this is where all my socks are. This is where all of my t-shirts are going to be. And it helps to pack them down in a really easy way so that I can just go
Just
into
grab
my
them.
bag. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't have to unpack everything just to find a pair of socks, right?
Mhm.
And so I always try to find different ways of packing because it's not going to be, that's not a solution for everybody who has a
Mhm.
vision impairment. It's just one of the better ones.
Mhm.
What do you do for packing with your situation, with your
Oh,
disability?
my packing, I don't really have a rhyme or reason to what I do. Probably just, I pack it based on, what I'm gonna need the soonest and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Kinda like the 2nd day, after that, 3rd day, just so
Mhm.
it's just kinda like right there, just kinda like a sequence
Right.
type thing, so
Okay. I try to do that as well, but sometimes you're just like,
yeah.
"Oh, no."
No, those packing cubes, those sound very, very helpful
Yeah.
for everyone, I feel like. But
Yeah.
yeah, awesome.
Um, do you overpack? Because I do.
Um, I do well, I know when I was younger, I did a lot and I got yelled at for doing that. So now I try and downgrade there, especially for a trip I have coming up
Right.
where I'm flying. So,
What kind of bag do you use, when you're traveling through the airport? Because 'Cause you're having to use your wheelchair, I assume, for traveling all the way across one part to the next part, and
mhm.
so how does that work for you?
I usually just have my purse. I have like a bigger purse I can just put all my stuff in and just I usually have like a crossbody or something that I can put on. That'll go over my handles of my wheelchair and
Yeah.
usually that works out well. And um, what about you?
Um, a little bit of both. I usually make sure to have a crossbody purse just
Mhm.
because I never know what's gonna happen, and I just need to have it, like, not in my way.
Right there.
And then I
Mhm.
have the wheelie bag that, the wheels, like, move in all the directions and stuff like that so that I don't have to worry about, like, is this
Mhm.
bag gonna collapse on
Right.
itself?
Yeah.
Um, but most of the time, if I can get away with it, I usually try to pack a small duffel so that I can just put it on my body because
Mhm.
I have to use my cane, and so I have to have a hand free to do that. And so I can't be fiddling with all this stuff, and I need to know that, my ID and whatever kind of other information I need is
Mhm.
easily accessible, and
Right
so
there.
it's
Mhm.
really hard to do that when you have the bag and then you have more bags,
Correct.
and so
Mhm.
I try to pack in a duffel if I can help it.
Mhm. So, beforehand, do you call to the airport or kind of do you have a process
Yes.
before?
Yes. So, my family is very involved with me and my disability, like all of our kids. But with vision impairment, if you're traveling by yourself or traveling with a family member, um, my dad taught me this. You can call ahead and say, "I am somebody with a disability. You don't always have to disclose it, but you can say, I need assistance getting from gate to gate." And
Mhm.
so, my dad will always walk me through that process so that I can, build up the courage to do that. Cause I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, dad, can you schedule my dentist appointment?" It's like,
Uh-huh,
I
right.
gotta do it.
Uh-huh.
And so what happens is that is a super helpful task that they can do for anyone who calls in, and they'll walk you from gate to gate if you need to. They'll walk
Mhm.
you to where you need to go. They will also bring a wheelchair automatically.
Mhm.
And for me, that's a little difficult because they always want to put somebody in the wheelchair. And I get it. I really do.
Mhm.
But sometimes after being on the airplane, I just am like, can my wheelchair hold my bags and I can just walk behind you or something?
Oh,
So,
right. Mhm.
yeah. But I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I get it. I respect
Mhm.
it. I just don't always want to be sitting.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah.
you call ahead for any support or help in that area? How does that work for you?
I haven't I have not myself personally flown in several years, so the process is kind of new to me. Like, last time I flew, I think my mom was with me, so I had her to kinda help me with my stuff, but, I think that that's super helpful to have out there for everyone, call ahead, and you can get everything lined up and
Yeah.
get someone there to help you. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing for this trip.
Yeah. Yeah, try it out. Let me know
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Also, if you have a disability, you can ask to be on the plane, maybe first, so that you
Yes.
can take your time and not be rushed. And maybe if you need assistance, they can help you with that so that you're not like bumping into people. I
Mhm.
really like that. And I sometimes I feel guilty about asking for that help. Um, but I know that it's better than running into somebody because when
Mhm.
you're, for me, getting on the airplane and like going through the aisles, navigating using my cane and making sure my bag isn't hitting somebody
Yeah.
is really hard to
Yeah.
do that. And so I sometimes will not use my cane and then the people all around will be like, why is she getting all this help? Or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just like I fight with myself of feeling guilty and not guilty. And then at some point I was just like, you know what? I don't have to explain my disability. I'm okay. I
Mhm.
need this assistance and we're going to do it. And that's what I've started to do every time I fly now so that I don't have to deal with that stress. And, then I'll use my cane. And if people have questions, I'm more than willing to answer anything
Mhm.
about it. But in that moment, I can't be the teacher of what this looks like. I just have to do what I need to
Do.
do.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever used that accessibility option?
Getting on the plane before, yeah. I know in the past I've flown Southwest
Okay.
before, and I think, people with disabilities, I feel like that's what I remember, if you had a disability, could go on before others, and, yeah, that makes things so much smoother,
Yeah.
um, because I feel, if I have if I have my braces or my crutches, I can move a little slower than other people, and so it's just kind of easier just to get on beforehand so I'm not, like, holding up, or I feel like I'm not holding up anybody, and can
Hmm.
get all my crutches onto the overhead bins and get
Yeah.
situated. It's a very helpful tool to have.
It is. So do you primarily use your crutches when you're doing flights or do you go in between of using your wheelchair and crutches? And what does that look like going on the airplane for you?
I think for me, how huge airports can go for miles and miles and miles.
Hmm.
So going through the airport, I usually use my wheelchair, and then when I get to the gate, I'll get in, or I'll use my crutches, and then to get onto the airplane, I'll just get up and use my crutches and get on. But I know for some people, I think for some people who have a physical disability, they'll have chairs that they can get onto to actually get into the airplane, because I think
Right.
they do take they at that point they take your wheelchair to be loaded.
Yeah. It Do you feel the pressure of everybody like waiting for you to get settled or anything like that, like the flight attendants or anything? Do you feel pressured? Like I have to hurry up, I have to do
Yeah.
this and
Mhm.
like I'm afraid I'm
Yeah.
gonna trip.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think for me personally, I'm always anxious about anything, like, if I'm holding up people with my
Yeah.
disability in general, so, yeah, just definitely in that situation where there's, umpteen million people
It's
around.
frustrating.
Yeah, it can
Right.
be frustrating.
Yeah, I deal with that a little bit in the airplane, but more so when I'm going through TSA. Do you
TSA.
see
Mhm.
that kind of difficulty, that stressor, for you as well? Um, do you use your wheelchair or leg braces when you go through TSA?
TSA, yeah, I'll have my braces on and I'll be in my wheelchair. Usually I'll just stay in my wheelchair and they do like the pat down thing because if I my wheelchair is metal, so going through the detector that'll set it off pretty quick.
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I usually just stay in my wheelchair and they do their thing and off we go to the gate.
Okay.
So, how about you?
I use my cane, because there's so many, people motioning like, "Come this way," and I'm like,
Oh,
"Which
uh-huh.
way do
Which
you
way?
mean?"
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and so, for me, the stress is right when I have to start putting my stuff into those little boxes. It's very stressful for me because I have to make sure that I'm putting it in quickly, but I also have to make sure
Mhm.
that I know where I put stuff so I can like know where to grab and
Grab it.
everything.
Mhm.
And I feel like with my disability, I feel like I'm holding people up in that line. And then the TSA people, they're just trying to do their job and like make sure people are going through the line. But I feel so much pressure when they're like, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I can't see. I am not
Mhm.
going faster than this.
Mhm.
And so I kind of have to explain a little bit about my visual disability because not everybody understands that when I use a cane, I have some vision, but not total vision.
Tunnel vision. Mhm.
And so it's very stressful for me when I go through that.
For sure.
And they usually have me go through the one thing where you have to hold your arms out, and just kind of go through the scan thing because I use my
Oh,
cane.
okay.
And so they're like, we're going to take your cane and scan it and make sure that it's okay. And then they always check my hands. And then they always try to give me my cane back as soon as possible. But in some instances, sometimes people don't know what to do when they see my cane. And so they'll um, try to hand me a different kind of cane that doesn't really work with my disability and say, can you use this to get through? And I'm like, kind of, yes, but I'm not there to teach at that moment. I'm just there to help them do their jobs and get everybody through.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
it's just very stressful to want to be able to share about like this is what I need from you
Mhm.
and this is what you need to do to help me in this situation because I'm very scared.
Mhm. Yeah. Almost like they should have an awareness training across the
Yes.
board with those workers.
Yes.
Just kinda have a heads up, you
Yes.
know.
I There's so many disabilities out there that it is really hard to know how to help every single person, and
Mhm.
I get
Right.
that, but yes, I do think that if there's some way we can communicate a training or, like, just sit down and talk with people, be like, "This is my scariest moment at the airport. Can you please help me through this?"
Mhm.
Then I think that would be great. Okay, so for because there's so many topics and there's so many things that we can continue talking about here,
Mhm.
but I think the best thing we could do right now is maybe we could share the whole podcast email with our viewers, and then everybody could come in and say a little bit about what they struggle with. Because I don't know about you, but I would love to hear about what other people go through.
Yes, most definitely we do.
Right. And then maybe some of the viewers could share maybe topics about what they want to hear about next or how we navigate through different situations or whatever the topics may be. There's so many topics. But if you wanted to share the email address for people to share that information with us, that'd be great.
Yes, with any subjects, anything you, the viewers, want to hear about, you can just shoot us an email, and that email is the whole podcast, KC, at thewholeperson.org. So again, we would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great because there's just so many situations. You never
Mhm.
know.
Right.
Okay, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up today. If you have anything else you'd like to add or anything like that, that'd be great. No?
I
Okay,
think
wrapping up.
we've touched on a lot of good things today. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I
yes,
know that it's
thank you
not
too.
always easy to talk about these things, but I really appreciate your viewpoint.
Yes, same here.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Hi everyone. Thanks again for joining our podcast today. I'm going to go over some of our monthly events. Our first event that we have is Getting Social, which is going to be the first Friday of each month. Our next event that we have is Time to Spare, which is going to be the third Wednesday of the month. Our next group will be Mind's Eye View, which will be the first Monday of each month. And our last group that we have is DIY Skills for Young Adults, and that is going to be the last Wednesday of the month. For more information, please visit our website at thewholeperson.org and stay tuned.